Hi, it's yesterday at 12 o'clock. Welcome here. I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. Yay! Which, actually, you'd be surprised to learn if you knew that I had only actually played 3 campaigns and a one-shot or 2. Or maybe that's a lot. I have no point of reference. I have 5 friends. There's the big one, the Aberration campaign, that I play every week or every other week. It kind of depends. I need to make more content about that. You guys would fucking eat it up. I played a very home-style take on the Curse of Strahd. I played a cowboy one-shot, and I played what we here on my channel, in my neck of the YouTube of the woods of the channel, call the Phandalin campaign. The Phandalin campaign was my first ever real D&D experience. I had done things for maximum 30 minutes beforehand and had gotten some source books and a dice set that were just kind of collecting dust until I first found out that my friend Raph really was actually into D&D back in early high school. And we started talking about it, and soon I was back into super excited about the concept of a TTRPG. So, me and Raph assembled a little group. I nabbed the campaign from the D&D starter kit that my dad had bought, and I dove headfirst into what would become the biggest hobby of my entire life. Today, we're going to talk about what that campaign was and kind of how it went, because I think it's a very cute thing to look back on, and technically it happened in the same world as my Aberration campaign, so it's canon. Yay! Let's get to the speed paint. Spoilers ahead for the Lost Mine of Phandelver campaign. Part 1. The prompt. I didn't write this came in a book, but here's the gist. The Lost Mine of Phandelver is a D&D 5e game intended to be an easy start into Dungeons & Dragons. It's a game that'll take a party of players from levels 1 to 5 and teach them about the game as their characters go through a few quests that come together into one climactic head that allows you to continue the story if you would like. In the land of Faerun, nestled between much more famous cities like Waterdeep and Baldur's Gate, there exists a small mining town called Phandalin. Phandalin seems unremarkable at first, but its history is rich. There used to exist a bountiful cave called the Wave Echo Cave that hid within it incredible natural magic. The people who used the cave harnessed the magic into a forge for magical weapons and artifacts, but once this knowledge was out there, it brought trouble. Soon, a group of evil mages and a group of greedy orcs got together and attacked the mine, attempting to take the magic and the riches of the cave for themselves. In the ensuing battle, much of the cave was destroyed, and the location of not only the forge, but the cave itself was forgotten and lost to history. The legend, however, of Wave Echo Cave carried on among many interested people and locals. Despite the many years that went by, people continued searching for the cave and the forge, though each year it seemed less and less likely that it would ever be found. Each year it seemed less and less likely that the old stories of a cave of riches with a magic forge were even true at all. Just local myth, exaggerated tales. That was the perception, until 2 particularly dedicated peoples arrived. One was the Rockseeker brothers, a trio of dwarves who had dedicated their lives to mining and finding this magical cave. The other, a powerful dark mage known as the Black Spider, who controlled a local gang and the nearby goblins, all in hopes of finding this mysterious cave. Luckily, or maybe unluckily, with their individual skills, both peoples were able to find the cave. But they found it at the same time. One of the Rockseeker brothers, a man named Gundren, as soon as the cave was discovered, traveled to the larger city of Neverwinter. He knew he and his brothers would need extra equipment now that they had actually found the mythical cave. He also hired a few adventurers to accompany his equipment wagons on the journey back to Phandalin. Things went wrong again quickly, though. After hiring the adventurers and gathering his materials, he headed off back to town early, hoping to meet with his brothers and get a plan before the rest of the materials arrived. On the road, though, despite his bodyguard's attempt to protect him, a hidden band of goblins took him hostage, and now nobody knows where he is, and nobody in Phandalin town has seen his brothers in days. Now, it's up to the hired adventurers to find Gundren, figure out what happened to him, and learn the secret that he's found the legendary cave. Then, maybe, just maybe, they can get to the forge before the Black Spider and stop him from taking the magic for himself. So, cool! That's the game. It was a lot of fun, but, don't take it from me. Who am I to review myself? Take it from Orange and Raph, two of the friends who actually played the game with me.
Yeah, it was my first D&D game, and I really enjoyed it. I made a lot of rookie mistakes, but it was good, as a learning experience, and I'm happy with how it went.
Raph actually couldn't make it into this video. Pretend that Raph left me a raving 5-star review of my amazing campaign that I didn't even write. Anyway, now all we need is the characters. The people going on the adventure, the PCs, those Gundren hired back in Neverwinter who didn't truly know what they'd signed up for. This group is different in every playthrough. I think the game came with pre-made characters, but part of the fun of D&D is making your own. So let's talk our Phandalin party. Part 2, the characters. This campaign is long over, and I don't exactly remember all of the details, so let's go into this with the understanding that the characters will be ever so slightly rewritten as I describe them to you. I just can't help myself. But either way, we were a pretty straightforward party. A determined druid of the deep woods, a heroic paladin from a dying city, a pacifistic cleric from a far temple, and a cunning rogue from a dark family. First on the list, of course, we have Dante, the leader. Dante was a wood elf druid. I call him the leader because he was Raph's character, the player who had the most experience in D&D, who really knew what they were doing. Dante was a confident mercenary and an expert bowman, a member of the Circle of Spores. He recently left his family's forest after growing tensions and competitiveness with his siblings. He didn't leave the forest forever, but long enough that he could prove himself, that he could grow stronger and connect with people who didn't see him as just an annoying younger brother. He wanted to meet people with different ways of life, experience their customs, their interests, their lives, and teach them about the value of the macabre and the icky. He wanted to make real friends. So armed with his bow, his determination, and of course, his oversized pet frog, Moss, he left for the big city of Neverwinter, staying with different kindly families and helping out with odd jobs until one fateful day when he met a dwarven man who offered him adventuring work. Asa, the survivor. Asa is a gnomish paladin. She was the strongest of the group, the frontline tank, and she was played by good old GP, the original player of Nadia. Asa was born an oddity. She was born with white hair.
Actually, this is editing yesterday. The white hair didn't fit with the design, so instead she has a streak of gold in her hair naturally.
Heterochromia, and most notably, she was born much bigger and stockier than most of her gnomish kin. Much of her childhood was kind of what you would expect from a sort of middle-class, upper-middle-class, wealthy gnomish socialite family. Nothing too notable until one birthday, the day she became an adult. She got morbidly sick, the start of what would later be discovered to be a plague on her home. She survived it, but her friend ended up lost, and she pledged an oath to protect people, becoming a paladin. She then left her city and went to Neverwinter in an effort to spread news of the plague on her home and hopefully learn more about the gods of the gnomes. Maybe if she can tap into their divinity, if she can become a powerful enough paladin, she can save the rest of her dying city. Of course, while she was there, she needed money and training. So, when she heard of a dwarf who needed some muscle to escort his wagon, she took the job. Quaelosh, the Faithful. Quae is a high elf cleric. Quae is arguably the most important of the characters. He may not have been the leader here, but he went on to impact the world by far the most, and to be the one of the four of these party members remembered the longest. Which makes sense, because Quae was played by my friend Orange, who became the world builder and has absolutely worked magic in his making of a custom homebrew version of the world of Toril for us to play within. And Quae became important to that world because it's his character, his world. But anyway, Quaelosh the Faithful, his actual name, not just a fun little title for the video like the rest of these, was a member of the Temple of the True Seldaroon, an elf supremacist religious cult. After joining the cult, Quaelosh rose through the ranks somewhat quickly due to his dedication, and began to travel to other areas to convert other elves to the temple. This is what brought him to Neverwinter, and this is what brought him to accepting Gundren's job offer. He'd heard of the stereotype of the elvish mage or archer in every adventuring party, and thought it would be a great opportunity for more connections, and maybe more people to convert. Given his very religious, sheltered backstory, Quaelosh was naive, but self-assured. He's a very cute little guy who legitimately wants to help people despite his less than stellar goal of kind of invalidating other people's faith left and right. But, you know, he's doing his best. He has an arc to go on. Finally, we have El, the demon. El is a tiefling rogue. They had a longer name than just El, but I have another character with that name, so we're going with El for her. El is almost an archetypal tiefling. They've got all the features of one, with the big horns, the vibrant skin, the monochromatic eyes, the tail, the claws, the sharp teeth. They look almost monstrous in certain lights. This is attributed to their family's very, very, very recent. But most of the time, they're just a cute, kind of friendly, flirty, almost lancer of the group. We don't know much about Elle's backstory, or why she took Gundren's job offer, or really why he offered it to her. She doesn't seem like the best rogue out there, with her bright pink skin and big-ass horns and tail and long-ass hair, but I don't know. So that's the Phandalin party. They're all very cute together. The dynamic is the best. Dante, of course, is the head of the team, leading us and building our confidence and comforting us with his massive frog whenever we're sad. Asa keeps us safe and enjoys bantering with Quay. They both have a lot of sort of heavenly gifts to them, and she enjoys making him flustered. She and Elle are good friends. Elle actually is pretty fast friends with everyone except Dante. Just something about her rubs him the wrong way at first, but Asa, like I said, really loves her. Together, Asa and Elle could talk for hours in a way that Quay didn't even really know was possible, and Dante has a hard time relating to. Despite something about Elle rubbing Dante the wrong way for a while, they do end up on good terms by the end of the season. They all do. I can imagine a scene of them all kind of getting ready for the day in Phandalin at the inn, and Asa polishing her armor and hanging out with Quay, who spent most of the night reading because he's an elf, so he doesn't have to sleep. He and Dante probably actually became really close over the first bit because of proximity. While everyone else is sleeping, the two elves trance, so they're only unconscious for 4 or 5 hours rather than the usual 7 to 9. They can teach each other about their kind of opposite experiences of their very sheltered lives and what each of them want to do out here. That's actually really fun because Quay wants to teach the world things and ends up learning from it, and Dante wants to learn from the world but ends up becoming a leader and a teacher. Actually, very literally a teacher later on, but there's no later on. What are you talking about? But I can imagine the scene of them getting ready for the day, and Dante and Quay have been talking pretty much all night about what they could do in the coming day, about their religions, because Dante worships nature in general, more than any specific god. I mean, there's a few members of the pantheon that he generally enjoys, there's Sylvanus, the god of the wilds, and Kelemvor, the god of afterlives. But they can talk about religions, and they can talk about the things that excite them. For Dante, it could be learning new things and impressing people, but also the idea of full on skydiving and all of just a crazy mix of very mundane life things like making bread or learning to mop, with the most extreme shit ever just randomly thrown in. And I think Quay would be very intimidated and kind of oh, Jesus, kind of pearl clutching a little bit by that. And Asa, who's like I said, polishing her armor and putting on her black lipstick for the day, which has got to be the most strong staying, long lasting lipstick ever, because she has to adventure in it. She's kind of making fun of Quay for it, and lighthearted flirting, and Dante is like pushing them together because he absolutely ships it, and Elle is like laughing with them and flirting with everyone because that's just kind of the person she is, while Asa is bantering with Quay as like a subtle way of flirting. Elle is very much like constant platonic, are we about to kiss with everyone all the time just to see how her friends react. She's so cute, and I just love when D&D characters have little positive, chill moments, just like downtime. That's not an actual scene that happened, but that's just me imagining stuff that makes me happy. I love just they get to hang out and be friends. That's so cute. They all change so much over the whole story I have in my head for them, because this campaign only took us from levels 1 to 5, so I always wanted to write a sequel D&D campaign, but I just kind of never did, which actually leads me to the question of Part 3, The Aftermath. So, the end of The Lost Mine of Phandelver, being the starter campaign, is left open-ended. You finish the story, of course, but you're still low level. Still have a lot that could be done, still have a lot of threads that could be pulled. Honestly, in our campaign, we didn't even kill the final boss. We spared him and he ran away. We fought goblins and orcs and mages and bugbears. We found the cave and we saved the forge, but there's still so much more that could be done and so many more levels to achieve. I always wanted to write the rest of the story and play through it, but instead I made a little something that you may know called the Aberration Campaign, which has far surpassed this whole vibe in importance to me and my friends, and honestly just my life. The Aberration Campaign, as of making this video, has already been going on for 2 years, and 40 sessions and 8 entire quests, and we've barely cracked the story. I honestly basically had the idea for what amounts to like 12 different campaigns at the same time, but rather than writing 12 campaigns, I couldn't choose, so I just wrote them all into one massive story, and honestly, I fucking love it. I mean, was it the smartest move? Probably not. It was the first D&D campaign I ever wrote, and it was just that big. But does it make for a really, really fun campaign full of mystery and intrigue and intense lore? Absolutely. So, because of all that, I doubt we'll ever return to this Phandalin crew. Plus, I don't really talk to the people who played Elle or Asa anymore, so there's very little opportunity for there to be a reason to make the rest of the story. I doubt it'll ever be played. But that doesn't mean that I didn't. I'm a writer. I sometimes just find myself writing things. There was a lot to explore after the little campaign was over. Everyone had joined little groups, like Asa had joined the Harpers and started learning that she was closer connected to gnomish gods than she thought, and Elle had made an alliance with the Dark Thieves Guild, and Dante was just joining the Emerald Enclave and finally meeting other druids, and that's not even mentioning the transformations everyone had over the campaign that were, like, worth exploring, or even in some cases the lack thereof, the lack of change, that the why they didn't change was also worth exploring. Elle didn't change very much, just gained their player a lot of confidence, but Quay changed a lot, and he had this whole religious moment where he became a full-on pacifist, and Dante kept having the absolute sweetest moments with NPCs, and there's just so much potential there, right? Honestly, this video was originally going to have a big chunk about the sequels that I may or may not have written that took the characters from levels 5 to 10, 10 to 15, and then finally 15 to 20, but we are so out of time. But I think that's a good thing, because it means you lovely people get more content. There is much more story to tell, and I have no choice to make videos about it. Of course, I talked a little bit about how the Phandalin campaign went for us. I have to expand more. I have to expand on what was changed and all that. Maybe do a rewrite of the actual events with the characters that have already kind of been rewritten. Asa wasn't even an outcast in her old version. She was just kind of a guy. She was just kind of there. But then after I make those videos, we can talk about what happens to the characters as they continue to grow. I might also make some Meet My OCs for these guys. There's a lot that could be done here. But if I'm gonna make so many videos about this, I might as well give this thing a name. Have a name for the franchise rather than just the Phandalin campaign. You know? I think I'll call it Cross My Heart. I hope you had a good day yesterday. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like, remember to subscribe. I always forget to like the videos I like, so I actually think the reminders can be helpful sometimes. And I will see you next time. Bye.